Hey, everybody, welcome back to Sergeant's Talk TV. I'm Big Mike.
And I'm Jason.
Hey, tonight we're going to talk about or discuss 10 myths that.
And I'm Jason.
Hey, tonight we're going to talk about or discuss.
Yeah, technical difficulties in the background.
Yeah, I had too much to do.
Yeah, there's too many buttons. I mean, of course, you're over there running like two different computers and stuff, so that makes it even more complicated.
So we're going to talk about 10 myths veterans bring up to the VA and or misunderstandings that people bring up to the VA. Some call it myths, some call it misunderstanding, but this just gives us the opportunity to help educate people on these top 10 myths that the VA has that people keep and still keep getting wrong. So I'm glad you guys are here. Jason, you want to tell them what your status is?
Well, guys, some of you, and I know at least the ones that are in here right now,
You know right you're not in Sasquatch.
No, we aren't in Sasquatch, and we're home, guys. This back in the studio. Yeah, it's still not finished. That's gonna be after the new year, kind of attack the studio, get it wired and insulated, and get it finished up so that we can move on to next projects. But yeah, we're back on the ridge. If it wasn't raining all day, but even then, you know what? We're loving it. I can't even be mad about all the mud right now.
Yeah.
So
that's the way it is down here. It's just a soup mess outside.
Yeah.
It's been raining all day constantly. But hey, guys, first off, we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas or Merry Christmas Eve right now. Hope you guys have a blessed Christmas tomorrow. We're not planning on doing anything. I mean, I think the grandkids might come over because they got a gift that they need to pick up. But other than that, it's just another day for us. Terry's already bought me one of my gifts is this. And then tomorrow we'll show you the other stuff that Terry bought me. I didn't buy Terry nothing. I keep asking, hey, what do you want? What do you need? Blah, blah, blah. She goes, I got everything. I don't need nothing. But she constantly just keeps buying me stuff. I'm like going,
I think it's a wife thing then, because it's the same deal. Like Tara and I have never been big about buying one another gifts for a specific holiday. Like we don't make a big deal out of Valentine's. We don't,
Yeah. Well, we go out to dinner.
Yeah, like it's one of those
thing on Valentine's Day. We usually go out the night before.
Oh, to beat all the crowds and
yeah, you don't have to. You can go where you want. You don't have to fight with everybody to make reservations and all that other crap.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Some of our kids now, now that they're all adults and they're working, they're doing their own thing. They're like, hey, what do you guys want for Christmas? We're like, nothing. Like if you wanted to do anything and spend money, like they'd come down and visit us at the Ridge. Like that's what we would, And we did make a quick trip and went and seen the grandkids, and we got to see all of our kids except for one while we were up there. He was under the weather, so we're like, yeah, we're not chancing that. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those, like, when it comes to the holidays and stuff like that, where you're typically going to buy each other a gift, even our birthdays, like we'll try to get each other a card or do something special. But when we want something throughout the year, we just go get it. Yeah. So when it comes to a holiday, you're like, what? I would get you 7 more packs of underwear and some socks or something.
Yeah.
Like what?
I told Terry, I bought Terry that Jeep Cherokee, and I said, until it's paid off, that's your Christmas gift, your birthday gift, Valentine's gift. She goes, okay, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's Tara's little way. Like we'll go make a major purchase. Like we had to buy the washer and dryer. And then she's like, oh, well, I guess that covers my birthday gift. And then there was like something else. And she's like, oh, I guess I'm covered for Christmas now. And I'm like, that's
okay. I'm gonna say something. And this is through years of being as old as I am and years of marriage. and learning crap the hard way, which I learned best that way, is that never buy your wife, and I can only speak husband to the wife, something to clean in her house. Don't buy her a vacuum and say, hey, Merry Christmas. Don't buy her a dust buster. Don't buy her a washer and dryer. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. They remember that garbage. You know what I mean? Buy her something personal just for her that she can enjoy, or do like we do, guys. Hey, I tell Terry exactly what I want. If you look on my Facebook page, I put on there exactly what I wanted, right? And Terry bought that for me and go, oh my gosh, that is awesome, right? There you go. For her.
Well, she did put down in the comments she bought herself a vacuum for Christmas.
Well, Terry told me what she wants, okay, for any kind of holiday, and Terry goes out there and buys it for herself. Because if I buy it, she gets an alert on her phone every time I rattle the bank account. You know what I mean? And she goes, oh, wait a minute. And then she can't stop. And she's like going, oh, why did you buy me this? I didn't even get home yet. And she already knows what I bought her. So she tells me what she wants, and then she goes out and buys it. And if it doesn't come from Amazon, why buy it? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Or Home Depot or Lowe's, as long as it's home delivery all the way out here and it's free, we're good to go. And that's what makes for a happy marriage. And that is marriage advice from Big Mike.
See, y'all get bonuses. Christmas Eve, we're going to give you the bonus, the life advice.
There you go. Hey, let's say hello to some people in here.
Let's
There's
do
Rainy
it.
Pitch.
See Rainey's. Hello, Rainey's neighbors. I know they're getting nice and wet, just like we are right now.
Yeah.
Miss Judy Herman.
Yep. Judy Herman. And the Sergeant Major's in here, MT Homestead. How are you doing? She's over on the couch and she can hear me. And she's going, geez, marriage advice for Mike.
I just was waiting to hear the uncontrollable laughter in the background of like, oh my gosh.
Well, I'm a trained husband, so she can't complain. Well, she can, and she does. Not very often, but she'll tell me when something's bugging her. Hey, there's Devil Dog. Hey, hoo-ah. He's down South Texas there. Hey, and I'm sorry about us beating your Texans, but it had to be done. Yeah, it had to be done. Debbie Drach. Hello. And there's Bobby over at Petty Jean River Homestead.
Good to see you, Bobby. We got Ralph over at Webb's Web made it in.
There he is. Yep. Let's see. We don't have a whole lot of people in here.
David Glunt in Delaware.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. Big Mike and Chris. Jason. I love that.
There is Daniel Kearney, Harry Kiss Mouse.
Okay. Well, welcome in, Daniel.
Okay.
Oh, he said Merry Kiss Moose. He must be having some got that autocorrect.
If that's what that is. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Who else is in here? He says, I mean, Merry Kiss Moose. Daniel did.
Yeah, it's fun with some of those translate and the text to talk. Like, how is it going to work? And
yeah. And if you buy your wife like a gym membership, guys, you might as well answer, do these pants make me look fat?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there you go.
Not a good plan.
It says, David says, I like making Christmas gifts. There you go.
Yeah, we've talked about doing that with the because when we went up there, our one son and daughter-in-law had got me a little sign thing to be able to hang up here in the studio, and then got Tara like a crock to put all of her kitchen utensils in, but it was thrifted. So
Yes,
we've been talking with the kids because we're really big thrifters that we might, as we slowly can kind of progress into getting more of them down for the holidays, and do kind of a like, hey, okay, we'll do an exchange, but it's going to be like, it has to be something thrifted. You can't go buy something new.
Hey, there you are. Hey, David B. He's with CVMA Kentucky 1-4. Yeah. Welcome in,
That's
brother.
is that Motorcycle Club?
Yeah.
The,
Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. He's a
Nice.
member. I'm a member. We're just living in different states. I'm in chapter 10. I'm 10-4 here in Oklahoma out of McAllister. Hey, Jason Schoen, how you doing?
welcome in.
And Merry Christmas to you also. And there's Cuddly Texan.
There's Patrick.
Hey.
Good to see you, brother. And thanks again for that wonderful Christmas package. We got some more of our.
You cut the end of your thumb off. Yeah.
Hey, I still got a finger. I'm good.
Now I have cut myself with a box opener. I was opening up a tricycle, some kind of bicycle, years and years ago, and I was been wrapping presents, and I just started going like this and came right up past the knee, cut through the jeans and into the leg. It was a really fine cut with that razor blade. Let's see. And let's see. I know the family that never buys gifts. They make all their gifts. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and you know what? People don't write letters anymore. My daughter, when she had her birthday in November, she told all her friends, they told us, I just want a letter from you. You know, you can mail it, or we went up there and we gave her the letter. She just wanted to sit around the next day, drink coffee or whatever, and read letters, because people just don't do it no more.
Yeah, we were actually pretty shocked. We had gotten one from one of our subscribers. And we had gotten a letter delivered to the P.O. box, and we're like, oh, and it was kind of thick. And I mean, this thing was like 7 handwritten pages of a letter. It was super cool because, yeah, like you said, we'll get emails, you might get a messenger request on the channel page or something. But yeah. And that's right. I seen David Glunt's comment about cutting his thumb on a table saw the same day I did my finger. Like, hopefully you're healed up. The edge of my finger right here is still like, when your foot goes to sleep or your legs go to sleep, like that's what it feels like. I don't have full feeling. It's kind of weird.
So he was going to mail out coffee, but then he tasted it and he goes,
"Oh,
I ain't mailing that out."
Yeah, good call. Yeah, and that was the thing was Patrick. He brought us that one meetup, and we're kind of hooked on it now. That Texas pecan.
Man, don't you love that stuff?
Oh my gosh! So we mix it so that it spreads out longer. So she'll do like a half and half. She'll take our regular coffee. She grinds up the Texas pecan and then mixes it. So it's not super strong, but you get. And of course, it makes it last longer because we're like, hey, and then of course, then we won that coffee from Tim at Ridge Life, and we had stopped in there and got that, and it was a dark roast, and yeah, that was actually pretty good. So I think she actually took like all 3 this time and mixed it in. So
yeah, we got
never know.
Plastic K-cup thing. you can fill it up with coffee, snap the lid on there, and you just throw it in there if you have bagged coffee or whatever. But I do the Texas pecan from HEB. HEB has the K cup, and there's like 100 K cups in a box for $34. So,
Yeah, we've looked local
per K cup.
Yeah, we couldn't find it. Now we can't do the K cup. We drink too much coffee. So it's like we run ours through a bun. So we get quick, fast coffee and it works great. But
yeah, I learned today we're getting a new coffee maker.
Still a Keurig, but
it's a Keurig, but it also has the pot on the side. So whatever you want to do. So you can fill up one of these, or you can fill up a pot of it and stuff. So, and this one holds, when on the Keurig, you hit the large cup and fill it up, and then you can hit the 1 cup and it fills up, and then you can put whatever else you want in there. So, and that's out of 1 K cup. So that's pretty good. I really like the Texas pecan from HEB. It's just awesome coffee.
Yeah, that, like I said, Patrick, and he sent us 2 more bags of beans, so we'll have it for a while now. But yeah, that stuff that's spot on.
Yeah.
Be sensitive to the cold. Yeah, and it's still like hurts to touch sometimes, but it's what I get. Little reminder.
Hey, there's Anna Bohr at Good Enough Homestead.
Hey.
Merry Christmas to you.
Good to see you, Robin.
And my mom spends $100 a month on sending cards and letters. She's 82 years old and keeps her young. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did we try? We did. Actually, we had it straight because it was funny. Tim didn't really care much. That was kind of why he was doing the giveaway, as he's like, he didn't like the dark roast much. So he's like, hey, well, and he gets a shipment from them, every month. So, and he's like, hey, I don't like, and why not? I mean, people got to be honest about it. Like, hey, if you're going to give, we drank it and loved it.
Yeah.
So I was like, but to each their own, like, I don't put anything in my coffee. I know a lot of people need sugar, creamer, Tara's got to have her half and half. Like,
yeah.
Everybody's got their own way of drinking it. So, is it worth $1.25 for a cup of coffee? I don't know. It's better than a jail sentence if you don't have coffee, I guess.
Well, if you can buy 100 K cups for $34, that means, it's less than 50 cents a cup of coffee. It's probably maybe 30 cents a cup of coffee. Or whatever, I don't know, somewhere in that, and it's fine. 100 cups last me probably a little over 2 months, so that $34, I'm good with that.
Right.
And then you don't have to worry about, we didn't drink all the coffee, and then it sits on there and burns and stuff like that. That's why I like.
We don't have that problem around here.
Yeah.
I think the only time that we ever really have burned coffee problem is if we make like another, like say a third pot or something throughout the day, because we're like, hey, we'll want some afternoon coffee. But sometimes that'll get left on. But most of the time, no.
My grandmother used to write long letters, no shorter than 6 pages, double spaced. That's what she did instead of cards. Yeah, there you go. And a lot of people like to do like a family newsletter and send it out to all their friends and stuff like that once a year. And yeah, I got a friend that does that every year. She sends it out and I read it every year. Dark roast. Yeah. And that's why there's so many different brands of coffee and flavors of coffee, because 340 million people, how many people drink coffee, and yada, yada, yada. To each his own. It's kind of like beer, Some people swear by one beer and everybody goes, man, it makes me throw up. And That's why there's so many different kinds, because there's so many different tastes, right?
Right. Gee. I tend to vibrate in my seat if I drink a dark in the morning, super caffeinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I've found, like, and honestly, so, well, it's in the house, but, you know, I've got my Sergeant's Talk TV coffee mug.
Yeah.
And it's bigger than just your normal off-the-shelf mug. It's a, you know, it's probably like what, a cup and a half equivalent or something.
Yeah.
I can have 2 of them in the morning. But
It's
if
a
I
20
decided I get a hair up, huh?
It's 20 ounces.
Yeah, I drink 2 of them every morning, and if I go for that third right away, oh no, I better have something to do right now because it's just like jumping all over. And then it breaks the seal, and you're just going all day long.
Yeah. Once you,
And I'm like, yeah.
coffee's like beer. Once you break the seal, it's all over. Yeah. Then
But
you're
if I have two and stop and switch to water or whatever I'm drinking for the rest of the day, I'm good to go. Don't have to worry about it. But
yeah. Hey, so let's get started with this, with the top 10 VA disability myths that you shouldn't be believing in, guys. And I'm going to let Jason start this thing off.
So tonight we're going to discuss the top 10 myths the veterans bring to the VA when they're trying to get their disability claim filled out and submitted. Some people call it myths. Some people call it misunderstanding. For us, it's just an opportunity to educate our fellow brothers. That's kind of what we talked about earlier.
Yep.
So myth number 1, can't file because I was recently separated from service. No. Veterans say, I didn't think I could file a VA claim because I was recently separated from service and I didn't know what I could file for. It's actually the total opposite, and most veterans should file their VA disability prior to separating out of service or within that first year, because you still have everything fresh in your mind, and it's assumed that the condition comes from service or happened in service while you're on active duty or on a reserve inactive status. And I know that that's, at least at the time back in 2015 when I retired, it was mandatory, whether you were retiring or you were just separating, you had to, part of your checking out process to be able to leave the unit and get out was submitting with the VA and getting registered and putting your initial claim in. Like you really didn't have an option.
Right.
Now, some guys could have refused to go to the follow-up appointment, but it just seems silly. Like, why would you turn it down?
Now, I can understand it if you got out under a general discharge, and then you later on you filed for an honorable discharge, and I think it's like 6 months after you get out, you can file as long as your congressman. So whatever that whole, I don't know. I got an honorable discharge each time I re-enlisted before, because they got to discharge you, and then you raise your hand and say, I blah, 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 do solemnly swear.
Right.
So people with general discharges, that might be something they might look into, or, and what the reason they're saying you need to do it right when you get out or right before you get out is, you have your medical records, your entire medical records right at your fingertip. Before I got out, the guy at the VA told me, go to the TMC, Troop Medical Center, and have them make you a copy. You fill out a request, and they put it on there, and they say, come back and tomorrow or whenever they told me to. And I had my medical record, front and back side. They don't waste paper when they do that. So I had all that stuff. I had my copy. I gave it to the VA guy. He put it on his. And this is back, when they sent up everything up in paper copy. No, they didn't email. Yep. They just made another copy, chopping down trees, like they always say. So that's what I did. And then I got to keep it, and I still have it right over here. But then what I found out is when you go in there and do that, like I just put in for my hip, my right hip, getting ready to submit my left hip, they already have it. The VA has it. And everything, if you went to a military, the VA they got their hands on everything. And so I went to the doctor who had to evaluate to make sure I had surgery and all this, the third party thing. And I said, well, do you need a copy of my medical records? He goes, no. He goes, I've got all 13,000 something pages here that they forwarded to him to review. That's why they pay him to be the third party and stuff like that. So once it's in there, it's in. And every time you go to the VA doctor or whatever, now if you go to an outsourced doctor because you're using your TRICARE, you need to get a copy of that. And you can go to the records. They'll give you either a CD or whatever they're going to give you. Most, like McAllister, only gives you a CD. I'd have to buy a CD-ROM to do it. And then you can take that to the VA and they just upload it into your records, So, and I think I got my chart and I can send that directly to my VA doctor and they'll upload it into my medical records too. So,
yeah, I think I want to say through My Healthy Vet, you can upload some of those documents and stuff because
I think you can.
If you're filing, you need to upload documents in there. Once you get your records, you need to be able to upload them in as the justification while you're filing for that claim.
Exactly.
And then one other thing on this was where it's talking about submitting, and a lot of this honestly is for like if you know somebody that's getting ready to separate, right? They're ready to either retire or get out or whatever. You need to reach out to them and let them know that they need to get in and register with the VA before, if they're not already forced into doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you submit your VA claim, your initial claim, while you're still on active duty, it kind of boosts you up in the system to give you a little bit of priority.
Yeah.
As to where if you wait until you're fully separated and then submit, well, now you're just down kind of in the gen pop and you could take 6, 8 months to 12 months before they're even going to see you. If you do it on active duty, I think their criteria is like, if you submit your claim while on active duty, you should have an appointment within 6 months. I think that's their standard. They said, hey, you shouldn't wait any longer than 6 months, and you're going to get an initial visit in there.
So I went and I started my VA in January of 2000, and I didn't retire until April 1st. Okay. And on the 1st of May, I got a check from the VA. So it behooves you, if you've got kids in the military, you got a husband in the military, a wife in the military or whatever, and they're getting ready to retire or get out or whatever, do that. I mean, I did it 4 months in advance, did my physical, did everything with them, turned everything in, and boom, I was done. Retired on 1 April, got a check from the VA and from the Army on the 1st of May. So just remember that. All right. So number 2, you need a lawyer, a VA lawyer to do your claim. That is not the case. You have the medical evidence you need from your medical records. You have the opportunity to file a disability claim without any legal representation. It is your legal right to be able to file disability claims based on the conditions that you were affected by with and in the service. So if you have the nexus letter on your current treatments and a diagnosis, you have the condition and what happened to you, or the cause was made worse by your active duty service, then you can file a VA disability claim. Okay, guys, so you don't really need one. what I do, or what I just did, and I can just speak about what I just did. I called the 1-800 number, the 1000 number, and I've put it on many of these things here. But if you go to va.gov, you can get the letter to the VSOs and all that stuff. It's a 1000 number. And they sent it to me. They sent me the easy form. I filled it out. They will also give you can request the nearest VSO to where you live for advice on how to do this, because they won't give you the advice at the VA directly. Or you can they'll give you the number to the nearest DAV, okay, DAV rep, and you can ask your questions in there, or you can go there and set up an appointment and have it filled all out. But I did everything myself. I said, well, this is kind of self-explanatory. I filled it all out. I'm not going to wait. I turned it all in. Now it's already up there for decision. I put it in October, and it's already at the decision level right now. We're waiting on that to come back. I understand the whole holiday period, so on and so forth. So that's what we're waiting on. So you can do it on your own. You don't need a lawyer. Sometimes you might need one, or you feel you need one when it comes out disapproved and you're going to resubmit it again, or a third time. Then you're going to have problems getting it approved. If it gets disapproved a second time, then you might have a little problem. And then you might want to go to the DAV and say, hey, what am I doing wrong here, guys? Those guys know what they're talking about. Okay, guys? That's why they're there. That's why they volunteer. And it doesn't cost you anything to go to the DAV. Now they might hit you up. Hey, become a member of the DAV. Okay.
Right.
So that's a good thing. Now, if you're one of those people who couldn't give military advice to save your butt, then I wouldn't say, you can count on me. You can send people my way and I'll give them some. I may not give them good advice, but I'd give them an answer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, you don't need a lawyer when you're submitting all that. And when you get out of the service, you don't need a lawyer. You got most bases. I know Army bases, that guy was right on post. And he was rocking and rolling, because all he did was smoke and do paperwork. So
yeah, that's the guy that we had at Fort Benning. He was a DAV rep, and he had a pretty good sized building with multiple offices.
Yeah.
And it was just each office was a storage room for all the files. And I mean, he went through and he worked by himself.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even have anybody else in there with him.
Right.
It was crazy, but that's what his job was. And he loved doing it. Like I sat there and talked to him, and he was a vet himself, and he's just like, hey, it's better than going to work for somebody else. Like here now I'm helping, my brothers and sisters that are separating.
Right.
But yeah, throw a quick shout out. I see Randall's in here, and yeah, talking about this could be an entire show.
Yeah, it can.
But love seeing Randall there at Gypsy Trails, and I see Miss Arlene popped in.
Lazy days ahead. They're up in Oregon right now.
Oh boy, they're up there in Squatch country.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was just looking at it earlier when I was going through some stuff in the studio and seeing their little gift for Tara from Oregon. They're gone watching. So yeah, myth number 3 is you can use the VHA to get VBA benefits. Don't worry, guys. We know military channels, acronyms for everything. We'll explain what that is. Using the VHA to get VBA benefits, most veterans think that the VHA and VBA are one and the same. Well, you have the Veterans Healthcare Administration, VHA, who medically takes care of you because of an incident or accident while you are on active duty. So that's typically that's if you're a medical discharge. You're going to get it for that specific reason why you got discharged. The vehicle fell on you and you broke your back. Like you'll be able to be seen for that. So that's a VHA. The Veterans Benefit VBA administration confirms your condition from the incident or accident through the VA claims process using your medical records and follow-up exams. So that's kind of that whole process like Mike's going through right now with, hey, they did the surgery, but somebody's got to make sure, do you really have a scar or did they just pretend you had surgery? And just because you're seen by a VA hospital.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to tell you that I've never had pictures of my butt taken so much in my life as when you have a replacement. Everybody that comes here to the house for nursing care or whatever, everybody wants to look at it. They want to take pictures of it. I hope they don't plaster that all over the internet somewhere.
I was just saying, hopefully you've signed some sort of like royalties agreement with them. So when that stuff's on, rearendfinder.com, you can get a little bit of that kickback.
I'm your basic service member, retiree. I mean, I look like a frog standing up. I got no ass.
I lost where I was even. Okay, so just because you're seen by a VA hospital, it's not the VA acknowledge that something happened to you when you're on active duty. It is because of an approved claim through the VBA that there was an incident or accident, and it's well documented in your medical service records, and you have the ability to file a disability claim based on those simple facts. So the VHA and the VBA are not one and the same. And because you're seen at the VHA does not mean that it is service connected.
There you go. Now, that means because they're seeing you there, you may be 40% or more your disability claims have added up to over 40%. So once you're at 40% or higher, if you've got diabetes, if you got high blood pressure, if you got whatever it is, and it's not service connected, they're still going to take care of you because you've already passed the 40% threshold. Okay. So there you go. Hey, myth number 4, only physical injuries count. That is not true. Physical injuries are a part of your viewed disabilities, but there's things that you just can't touch, like migraines, for example, are not necessarily due to physical injury or neuropathy, or I don't even know what that word is.
It starts with an R and ends with a Y.
There you go. Radiculopathy.
Yeah.
Radio something like that. I can't even say it. Certain nerve conditions, and most importantly, the biggest one, your mental health. And those things can't be seen with the naked eye, and it affects thousands of veterans daily. So that's absolutely one of those myths. It does not have to be a physical injury to claim it as a disability, as most people hopefully know. And if you've seen any of the new updates, they are really, even in this new bill, the new spending bill for 2025, they really put a lot of money towards mental health and making it easier for the claims adjusters to grant the disability for mental health, because it's a big problem, guys. It's a huge problem. So there you go.
Yeah. So I see Randall trying to go through some of the questions as we're going along some of these. I have a question I want to address in the future. How do us subscribers make that happen? Well,
to us, if you send it to us, our emails are in the description, both Jason and I. You can send that to us and we'll take care of it.
And Robin over at Good Enough, it said the same thing. Yeah. So there's open mics that we'll throw out there, guys.
I forgot. There's a link at the top that you can click on right now if you want to come up on the panel.
Yeah, if you ever come into the live
every week,
if you ever come into the live and you see that link at the top, you can click on that link to be able to come up, or you can send Mike and I. It's always in the description for the channel. You can send us an email with those questions, and we will try to find the answers the best we can. And I seen Jesse is dropping all the links right through here.
Yep.
Guys, look in the links, copy these, go to them. I was sitting here trying to see if I could just copy that, and I was going to start making banners for us to be able to like scroll some of that stuff. But that's the big one that you were talking about, the 1,000 number right there,
Yeah,
the VA hotline.
right there. That's where you can go and you can call them up and you can give them, say, hey, I want to file an intent to file, and they will start it that day. They will send you an email and they'll send you a letter saying, hey, this is your intent to file date, and you've got 12 months to get that turned in. Now listen, because the intent to file date is the back date for that disability when it gets approved. So if you just say, well, I'm going to wait, I'm going to do it over here. Okay. If like me, I had surgery. As soon as I got out of surgery, I called them because I learned the first time, because they waited a month and a half. And I said, hey, I just had this done. I want an intent to file date today for my left hip. And that's what she put in there. So I've got 12 months and it gets backdated to that date. Remember that. All right.
Yeah. So number 5, you won't be able to work. We hear this all the time as people are going around saying that if you were service connected, that you won't have the ability to work. Part of that is true and part of that is not. They have TDIU, which is temporary disability, individual unemployability, which means that you're bound by a criteria and a certain amount of money. So the truth is that you can still be gang fully employed if you have disabilities. So that's a false myth. Yeah, like you can be 100% disabled.
They want you to work.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you can have, like, I'm going to use myself, right? I'll put my information, not all the fine details of it out there, right? But I've said it on here before. Yes, I am 100% disabled, rated from the VA. And because I got the 100%, it is considered a permanent and total disability. Now, with that being said, and this is where I think some of this, and that's why I was glad to see this on there, was we had talked about it, a couple weeks ago, about like the SSDI and that kind of stuff. Now, there are income restrictions when you start dealing with the Social Security disability,
right,
and you start getting into that. As far as I've researched and as far as I've read and know, and I've never been told it myself, I have, as 100% total and permanent disabled veteran, I have no income restrictions. So, because that was something, honestly, we looked into of going into this YouTube venture. We never started YouTube, our main channel, with the intention of making money. Didn't even know what you had to do to make money when we started the channel. Sure. And all of a sudden we had all these people watching us, and we're like, I guess we need to start finding out what it means to be monetized. Right. Because that was a concern, was not only am I putting the fact that I'm doing all this work and I'm building my homestead, I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm making money from YouTube on the side. Is that going to affect me later on? And the answer for right now, guys, is as I sit here telling you, is no. Like, I don't have an income restriction. I just need to know that I've got certain things, movements and tasks and jobs that I can't physically do, because that'll rate me at my 100% and I'll be in bed for a week. Right. So as long as I'm not doing those things. So yeah, with that not being able to work,
And I'm in the totally opposite, where I'm 70% disabled, but I'm collecting the Social Security, and I'm restricted to how much money I can make per year. So that's why our YouTube channel, Empty Homestead, and this one's in Terry's name, because she can make all the money she wants. I just can't. Okay.
Right.
So
And that is that difference, kind of like we were talking about with the SSDI and the fact that, I'm not old enough to draw Social Security.
right.
So right now, yeah, I can make as much money as I want to make, but that will kick in if I can make it to be old enough to draw Social Security. There will be an income restriction, and then we'll just have to adjust when that time comes.
Yep. So myth number 6, PTSD is only for combat veterans. This is not true. PTSD can be combat related or it can be non-combat related. PTSD is for post-traumatic stress disorder. That means you have had an event, an incident, or an accident that caused you physical harm or caused you mental harm based on a fear for your life or of your life. PTSD does not have to specifically be combat related disability. Many veterans are diagnosed with PTSD that was not combat related, but was a situation that happened to them and it affected their mental state. So you're able to file a disability with the Veterans Administration under the criteria of 31 mental health symptoms, and you can be rated for post-traumatic stress disorder. I mean, look, you could be injured in a training accident. You could be in a motor vehicle accident. You're going to work, going home. Because remember, in the military, you're on duty 24/7. Okay, as long as you didn't go out there and you're drunk. And guess what? They still pay for it. If they didn't kick you out of the military for it, they're still going to pay you for it. It's still a disability if you get an honorable discharge or a general that turned honorable after 6 months. So everybody's so wrapped up, you've got to be in combat to have PTSD and yada, yada, yada. No, that's not. You can be at work, a vehicle fall on your hand and you lose a finger or two or whatever happens. I don't know. And that could totally screw you mentally up, okay, because you lost 2 fingers or whatever the case is. I had a friend, they were changing a 2.5 tire. Remember the ring on the old 2.5? And you're supposed to have it in a metal cage. Dumbass, he didn't have it in a metal cage and he lost half of his leg, okay? Because he was stupid in a no stupid zone and he knew what the standard was. Still get 100% disability rating, okay? Even though they totally screwed up, okay? They still got it, because they discharged him, still gave him an honorable discharge. Yeah, was there a 15-6 investigation? You damn right there was. Okay. And everybody came in there and said, yeah, you were a dumbass in a no dumbass zone. And he still got his disability, 100%, lost his leg. And when it came down, it bounced. A guy that wasn't even doing anything hit him straight in the face. He lost all his teeth, broke his nose, cracked his cheekbone and everything. I mean, those things aren't no joke. They're pretty heavy on those rings. Yeah. And so, it can happen. Anything can happen. It's how you perceive and how your brain handles that is the mental disorder, okay, or the PTSD, it doesn't have to be combat related whatsoever in order to claim the mental illness, the mental health stress, or the PTSD. So remember that.
And Dave, I want to mention this here because we were talking about this. David is saying that TDIU has. So yes, the temporary disability, individual unemployability. If it's on a temporary, I think that does. And that may have an income restriction. But
good.
The permanent, which is what I have, I don't. Not that, and I've asked around to try to make sure, and I could
Well,
be wrong.
let me put it this way. You can use the TDIU, and it's good for 4 months if you have like a hip replacement, a knee replacement, where you're basically on your butt and going to physical therapy and all that stuff. If it covers the first 3 weeks, you get it for 4 months, and you get it at 100% disability. Okay.
Right.
So if you got something that's going to take you out of action, like a hip replacement, a knee replacement, whatever, and you can't do anything because you're doing all the medical, you can do the TDIU for 4 months at 100% disability. So you might be at 40% or whatever the case is, and you can apply for it and you jump straight up for a temporary 100% unemployability, because you got to be at home and you got to do all this other crap for recovery. And for some people who do work and your business doesn't pay for it, that 4 months for recovery and stuff like that, because a hip replacement is four months. Okay. And it pays for that 4 months right there when you run out of sick leave and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go.
See, learning every day, guys. See, Ace made it in. Welcome in, Ace. Randall saying, thanks, guys. Your topics are helpful. We're hoping so. We got Mr. International.
Hey.
Sending the food out to everybody.
Yeah.
Do they still call it CMP, class and pensions?
CMP, yeah.
Yeah.
Do a CMP exam. Like I had to go do a CMP exam to verify that I had surgery and my hip bone got sawed off.
Yeah, everything that, like, no matter what you put on a claim, you're still going to have to go see
third party.
A third party to get it verified, and they're going to check everything. So,
well, here's what I think it is really. The CMP exam is like when I go see the doctor, he's going to type up from everything from my medical records on this hip replacement. And then he's going to type up what they call a nexus letter that they're going to send back to your Veterans Claims Officer, okay, that requested the CMP exam. And so he's going to type all that stuff up and send it back to them. And then they go, oh, crap, that is honest to God. There's all his, from his surgeon, from the nexus letter, from the CMP exam, all this stuff is right there. And yes, his hip replacement was because I had a service-connected not brosis, but osteoarthritis written in my thing as my initial claim, because it wasn't in my service record, but when I went in for my VA physical, that's when they found it. They said, dude, your joints are tore up from the floor up. And I'm going, because it was in my knees, it was in my feet, it was in my hips, it was in my back, to include the degenerative disc disease that I have. And they wrote all that stuff up right then and there. So that's why it was in my service connected portion. So this is,
and that's always
is secondary to that arthritis.
Yeah. It being the kind of cause and effect. And that's, I think that's where, we've talked about this a lot of times, is it's how that specific doctor, how they write it. The VA is going to look at certain terms, whether it's lack of range of motion or, how much it restricts you from being able to do your daily activities, those types of things. But they look for those certain keywords as to how high that rating is going to go. And so, speaking of ratings, we can jump over to number 8 real quick. And
No, number 7.
the VA.
No, the number 7.
Oh yeah, I'm already jumping way too far ahead. I scrolled too
Yeah.
far. Number 7, getting a higher rating is hard. Okay, so this will be a little. So this is not true. Getting a higher rating on your VA disability is based on the severity of your symptoms. If you meet the criteria for getting a higher rating based on the severity of your conditions, then it's as simple as that, cut and dry. For example, if you suffer from migraines and you meet the criteria for having that condition over a specific amount of time or specific number of times in a given day, week, or month, you can meet their criteria of getting a higher rating.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's in here, and I know it's a myth, but I'm going to throw the BS flag. And only because of what I had just said prior to reading this one is it's all on how the doctors word it. But part of that is what you're telling the doctors.
Right.
And what you need to keep in mind when you're going in and talking about your symptom, say it's a migraine, or back pain, or numbness in your hands or anything like that. If you go in and see that doctor for those like CMP exams, that third-party verification, you need to give them the details and describe them the description of your condition at its worst. Like I went in, and from the get-go was like back pain and got the same thing, the advanced disc degeneration disease, getting muscle spasms. I went in and seen all the doctors and they're like, do you feel this? And I could feel their hands on my back. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, no, do you feel the spasms? I'm like, I'm numb to those now. But my back just doesn't, it's never not. Even after I get massage or chiropractor, like my back muscles never relax. They're constantly spasming. And so that was the key, though, when I went in and talked to them was what is your condition when you have, what I would call a flare-up? Hey, I've got a flare-up. It puts me in bed for a minimum of 3 days where I need help to get out of bed and walk to the bathroom. Now, any other day, I'm going to be just fine. I can do all those things on my own. But if I did something to activate that really bad, and that's where this one really got me. I know when I even read it earlier, and I was like, when they said, oh, it's not true to get it I think it's hard if you don't know what to tell them.
Right.
If you don't use the right terminology, you don't give the right specifics.
Now, if you've got a condition, and there are dozens upon dozens of VSOs that are retired VSOs that have VA channels, okay? And you look on there and say, I've got back pain. There's channels out there where VSOs run a scenario. They have their little actors in there, and they sit there and tell you. And one I watched was a guy who was a CMP doctor for the VA that's went on to private practice on his own and got out of it. And they sit there and tell you what the CMP doctor is looking for. Okay. They sit there and say, okay, you say your back hurts, and all of a sudden they're going like this. Okay, bend over, and you go, ah, and he goes, we know you're lying. Okay. And I mean, they teach you all the tricks that the CMP doctors are looking for or trying to stumble you up on and all kinds of stuff. So if you've got something wrong with you and it's legit, it's legit. And you shouldn't go after something that's not, okay? Because when they catch you and they catch you in the fraud business, you'll be like that guy, and you can go to the VA channels. All these people has done videos on the guy that just got caught, and he's in prison now because he's BSing the VA, and he was collecting money for it and stuff like that. So he got sent to prison on a fraud charge, and that's federal prison.
Yeah, and we're not by any means, guys. We're not going in there and telling you to fake
No.
injuries and fake
Be honest.
claims. Like, you need to be honest with them.
Yeah.
And just like my conditions, like, a lot of people will see me and they watch the channel, and I've been questioned on this, because they're like, wait a minute, we've heard you say you got 100% disability and you're, but we watch your channels and you're doing all this stuff. And I'm like, that's right. But you also realize that I'm a channel that I'm only putting on film what I want you to see.
Yeah.
You're not seeing those, you see me on that roof, you see me, hauling logs, you doing all these other things. What you don't see is the 4 or 5 days right after I did something that I probably shouldn't have done, that I didn't even get out of bed. Like, we're not filming that part. We're not putting that part out there.
Yeah.
That's been a little bit of a concern with us putting everything out on YouTube was, well, aren't you afraid of losing it? Well, not really, because everything that I have, the conditions that I have that gave me my rating, are medically documented, and I'm receiving treatment for them. And as long as I follow the treatment plan, then I can be, a very productive member of society. And that was my biggest key when I went to the VA the first time was, I just need whatever, like if it's a treatment, I don't want a lot of pills and pharmaceuticals going into my body, but I need to be able to function. I don't want to be that guy just sitting on the couch drooling on myself because I can't move. Like, I need to be able to do these types of things. Find me a way, medication, rehab, therapy, or just avoid that certain task altogether. Yeah. So.
Okay. Number 8. Number 8, the VA will decrease your rating. The VA will only decrease your rating if they feel your condition has gotten better with time. You have the ability to fight this based on if your condition has gotten worse or stays the same. If you have a static condition, it could be scheduled for a review, meaning they can send you in for a CMP exam to see exactly what's going on if it's questionable. Okay. The VA is just trying to determine your disability, whether it's gotten good or bad over time. In most cases, that's not absolutely how it is looked at and how it's perceived. But you have the ability to fight it nonetheless. Also, you have the ability to say, no, my condition is getting worse, and here is my medical documentation to prove it, meaning you've gone and you've seen a doctor, and the doctor says, hey, you're still tore up from the floor up. I don't know what the VA is trying to pull here, because they're reviewing and they're saying, well, wait a minute, this guy only had this 10 years ago, and how can it not get better over time because he's seeking treatment for it? But your doctor knows you best, not the VSOs. And again, it's how your doctor writes it up in your medical records. Okay? So just remember that. Number 9.
Yeah. Number 9, severity of condition guarantees a higher rating. Well, that makes sense based on the thing that we said previously on number 7, but the severity of the condition is based on the medical evidence that proves that that condition has gotten worse, what ultimately would go to a higher rating. There's also conditions that can only be rated at a certain percentage. Take tinnitus, the ringing in the ears. The maximum rated disability for tinnitus is 10%. So a 10% rated disability, you can get a higher rating, or you can't get a higher rating for it. But that does not mean that the ringing in your ear hasn't gotten worse over time. You could file a mental health claim, lifestyle impact, to account for the severity of the condition if it's directly affecting your quality of life. And that's kind of where you're at with your hips type deal too, is, hey, I had this medical, trauma while I was in, and now years later of dealing with that said condition, it's worsened to where it's caused issues elsewhere. So
The
that is
tinnitus,
kind of a piece of it.
sorry about that. The tinnitus
No,
for me
that's
has taken away my entire upper registry of noise or sound or whatever. Meaning, like I said, told Terry, I said, I got a letter from my doctor and I can't hear you talk to me because she has a higher voice. Okay. And so what they did was I go in there, I said, man, told my doctor, I said, man, this ringing in my ear, I can't even sleep at night. And when you're not getting good sleep and you've also got sleep apnea, you can't fall asleep because your ears are ringing like freaking, whatever. And like sirens going off when there's a tornado. And you're sitting there going like this, and you just can't concentrate on two things. Like for me, the TV would be on and Terry would be talking to me or she's on her phone. That used to drive me crazy because I couldn't focus in on one or the other because I lost all that. It was all sharing the lower registry. So I go in there and they say, she goes, all right, I'm going to put you in for a hearing test. Went in there and they go, holy crap, you have none of this upper. So now I got these $4,000 ears that they gave me, which puts me into another category, not the 10% tinnitus, that's still there. Now I've got a hearing disability, which raises it up again. So once they finish that whole write-up, then of course I'll have to go to a CMP to have another hearing test without the hearing aids in and stuff like that. And then they'll process my disability for that because it's secondary to the tinnitus, and 10% is all you can get for tinnitus, no matter how bad it is. Yeah. So that is correct. All right. Number 10, I should file for as many things as possible. This is one of the biggest questions the VA gets from veterans filing claims. I talked to a friend of mine, and he threw like 50 things on one filing, right? He put it on there. And this guy, he was dumb as the day was long. He didn't have no proof. He just started filing things on there. He go, hey, this and all this stuff, because he was one of those service members that never went on sick call. He was afraid people would look at him. He was an NCO, so he never went there. And when he was a younger one, someone told him, hey, when you start going on sick call and stuff, your sergeants are going to look at you, ain't going to get promoted. You're not going to get recommended for it, blah, blah, blah. So he never went. So then he put all these things on there. And it took him 2 years to get that one. You know how much they have to look at to do 50 things on a form in order to come back to you and say, hey, all of them were denied. No medical evidence, no nothing. He had nothing. He just said, well, I was just, and his medical records was like paper thin. After 20 years in the military, he didn't do crap. And that's why I tell people, if you're sick, you're sick. If you stub a toe, go do it. How many times? I just know how many times I went in to have ingrown toenails pulled off. You know what I mean? Some people just go, oh, my foot swelled up like a grapefruit and still not going on sick call like a dumbass. So it's all about looking at it this way, guys. You might have a back condition and you've been to the doctor, they've been documenting your back and, hey, they issued me a TENS unit because I have spasms in my back and I can't feel my legs because of neuropathy from the sciatica and all this kind of stuff. It's getting documented. Those are the things you need from the doctor to take with you into the CMP exam so they can write up that nexus letter that goes back to your VSO. But if you just start throwing crap on there, the more that's on there, the longer you're going to wait. And guess what? If it goes past that 1 year from the intent to file date, it starts all over again and you just lost that year. So fight the smaller battles, the most severe battles, and get them taken care of. Remember, you can have as many intent to file startup times as you want. Okay, you got your back. Call them up. I want to file right now because of my back. Call them next Monday and say, hey, I want to do my ankle. Call them up the following Monday and get a start date for each one of those. So they're seen separate by separate VSOs. Okay, because it's just like this. Next, it goes out to this guy. Your guy might be in Indiana and you live in Oklahoma. You don't know where the guy's going to be because they all work from home. Most of them work from home anyway. Senior NCOs and officers, they become VSOs because the VA is paying them so much money to sit at home and do basically telework, right? So if you don't want to put all of those on one thing because it's going to get evaluated by one person. And if he says, man, I don't believe this guy, and then it goes on to the next one and the next one, then you're screwed. So file your intent to file for each and every condition so you can have a separate person so you can start working those things. So yeah.
And as long, the big key is as long as you have documentation, you know, whether you still have your military records, because they'll be able to pull your military health records.
Yeah.
But if you've been, you know, if this is at a point where, hey, going to the VA this is your first time going in, then anything that can relate to an injury that you might have had, or they can make a service connection. But the biggest thing is you've got to have medical documentation to prove it.
Yeah.
You know, that hey, I did have this, or this is what had happened. You know, and for for new conditions, you know, like obviously for me thinking about it now, right? I don't have anything in my documentation to show that, you know, I've got bad knees or I might need a knee replacement or something like that. But maybe in 20 years, if I need a knee replacement, they can go back and see some of the other injuries that were incurred, and they'll take that new condition because it's a side effect of a previous, and make it, you know, service connected and be able to get in there. So, you know, with that said, like if you have 50 conditions and you have enough documentation to support all 50, good on you, but break it up into 15 or, you know, 10, like, because it is a person that's looking at it.
Yeah.
And they're going to just look and they're going to be like, oh my gosh. And honestly, you're going to slow your process down.
Right.
If you pick one or two of what are the most bothersome conditions to you at the time, and you have the documentation to back that up, submit those one or two, get you in the system, get you registered, get you an initial rating, and then start adding, you know, and like Mike said, you could submit an intent to file every day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, or pick one a week, or, you know, there's not a limit as to how many you can have out there. But you just got to know that you're going to be pushing that overall process out if you don't have, and you're going to be wasting your time. You're going to be wasting somebody else's time. If you don't have documentation to show anything, then don't submit for that.
Yeah. Be completely truthful and hand that over, your documentations over to your VA rater. Once you submit your claim, and then they can send you, or they'll, like I say, this 1,000 number that was on there, she'll actually, or he will actually, because I've only dealt with two ladies there, they will send you the 526 EZ forms. They'll send all that to you, and you just fill it. You can pre-fill it all out to get all your answers and stuff like that. And then once you get that filled out, then go to the VA process. They'll go to the VA processing center, and it'll be dispersed out to a rating specialist who will look over your claim, review it, and move it forward for approval. Now, one thing you got to know, you're going to do this online. They're going to send you the form so you can read through the first 9 pages the do's, the don'ts, the special instructions, all that stuff. It's 9 pages long. Then you're going to fill out the actual EZ form, the 526 EZ form. Okay. And you're going to take a pencil, write all your stuff in there, exactly how you want it to be. If you have questions, call that number back, or before you do it, hey, can you give me the number to a counselor, a VA counselor, or or the local DAV, and they will give you the numbers to call in case you have questions, because they can't answer it for you. It's against their protocol. So now you have someone say, well, what the heck does that mean? Like Big Mike did. I'm going, what? What? Go back to the 9-page thing. Oh, Jesus, what does that mean? And all this other stuff. And so you call the DAV. DAV says, hey, man, I got you, man, blah, blah, blah. Filled it out. Boom, they took it. First time they took it, and I got my CMP exam that quick. If you get a CMP exam, you filled it out correctly, and they like it. Okay?
Yeah.
They like it, and all your supporting documents right there. If they don't like it and say, hey, you tore it from the floor up. Hey, this is not filled out correctly, blah, blah, blah. They won't tell you. They say it's not correct. Go to the DAV, go to the counselor, and say, hey, what am I doing wrong here, guys? Remember, this is your disability. Take charge of it, and don't think someone's going to do you a favor. Nobody is going to do you a favor, period. That's why we got people spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a VA lawyer because they can't get their stuff through. And it's not because it didn't happen or the condition wasn't there. It wasn't worded correctly, or it wasn't done correctly, or submitted, or whatever the case is, or they wanted more. Okay. And that should never happen. I get that. That pisses me off to no end, that you have to at some point have to hire somebody to do the work for you. That's bull crap. Okay. I think the only reason mine's going through as smooth as it did, because in the 31, it says, if your condition is this in your hip and this, unless you've had a full and total hip replacement, which I did, it's automatically 30%, cut and dry, boom. So mine was cut and dry. I did my CMP, and it's up for decision now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they don't disapprove it. And I don't know why they wouldn't, because I'm missing the bone. I'm missing the bone. Someone took my bone.
Hey, they got your legs even now, right? Are you?
Yeah. Terry says my rear end still looks like a frog with no ass, but yeah. But guys, hey, those are the 10 myths that we wanted to bring to you, and that comes directly from the VA on the questions that people ask the most of the VA, and they getting it totally wrong. I love bringing this kind of information and stuff like that. What I don't like is people not wanting to come up on panel and talk about this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, but guys, I hope this was helpful for everybody, and I hope you got something out of this, and I hope it fueled you enough to go find answers. And the answers at va.gov. You should already have an account if you're a veteran. You should already have the ID me stuff and all that kind of stuff to log in, so you can search through that website for all your answers and stuff like that. So yeah. So what do you think, bro?
I mean, there's tons of resources out there, guys. And I mean, we try to pull up. I seen Jesse has been just blasting our comments. We appreciate you, brother. With all these links, guys, get in there and start clicking them links. And find as much information. We're giving you the information that we know about and what we've experienced.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other part of wanting to get more of you up on panel, because I know there's a lot of you that have had different experience with it. I'm watching, Bobby over at Pettigene's looking like, he's kind of having a rough time dealing with certain things. But when everything works out in the end, like, we want to know, and even if you're having the struggles, there might be somebody that's listening to this, even if it's not right now, because obviously it's Christmas Eve tonight. But for anybody that's listening beyond that, they might be throwing stuff in the comments that, we all need to pay attention to, and we can all learn something every single day. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate all of you. I know the two of us for sure look forward to this every single week. This is better than therapy, guys. I've had to go see the wizard and talk to a therapist, and getting on here and talking about, veteran things, what we can do to help, because I think the biggest struggle that I have now is when I talk to veterans that aren't even getting services, they're not getting any kind of help, and they don't even know where to start. And it's like, well, here you go. Let me give you the first step. Get on this VA.gov, get registered, get an account, and then start from there. See what you can get, because even if you think you're not capable of getting something, you could probably get something. Like,
Yeah.
and even if you don't, I mean, the VA is pretty good right now about being able to provide something for about every one of the veterans. But if there is some sort of a loophole that kept you individually out of it, well, then you're no worse for wear. You're already taking care of yourself. Like, at least you can say, hey, I tried, but because of this, this, and this, I got denied of stuff. And maybe you find somebody else to help you get in it. But if you don't try, then you can't holler about not doing anything.
I agree 100%. And remember, it's not the people that work for the VA, it's the policy, the regulations that they have to work from.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay. When you go to the VA, I've never been to the VA where they never treated me, always dignity and respect every time I've gone in there. No one's treated me or mistreated me in any way. It's the regulations that they have to work by that actually pisses them off. And I mean, because we talked to Angie that one time, and she said the exact same thing. She said, bingo, that's exactly right. If they mistreat somebody or talk in haste or whatever at the VA, boom, they're gone. And that's one of the big no-nos. When a veteran goes to say, hey, this person right here, and that's not what they do. It's what they have to work by, and not who works for them. They're all great Americans. They're there for a certain reason. They can make more money somewhere else. Trust me. Okay. So don't get that. I will never say anything about people that work for the VA. I will only talk about the policies in which they have to operate under. That's really dorked up. And I'll leave it at that.
And I was looking through some of these bottom comments. So, Mr. International is a VA accredited claims agent.
All right.
So Robin is pushing 8. And honestly, hey, brother, you're one that we want up on panel. He says he's tempted. So hopefully, and right there, veterans need effective representation. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
So yeah, we want individuals like all of you that come in every week, even if it's a little something. You might think it's insignificant, right? You're like, what I know, like they've talked about it somehow. But Mike and I could sit here and say it all day long, but maybe it takes one of you to say it, and that's going to trigger somebody else to finally be like, okay, well, it's not just them two, jabbermouths talking about it. Like, somebody else is really going through it, or maybe you've got better information than we do. Like, we're all about getting anybody up here. It's Sergeants Talk TV. It's everything veteran. We want all the information we can possibly get to get out and help everybody and get those services that you deserve.
Yeah. And I will tell you guys, I just want to tell you that there are a lot of VA channels out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they all mean well, but they all want you to click on their, when we went into this whole thing about what's 2025 and everybody was having all these conspiracy videos coming out and talking about this when already the House already approved the 2025 budget bill, and now the Senate just passed it. Okay. And they were still producing all these videos about, oh, you're not going to get paid and you're not going to do this and all this kind of stuff, guys. Don't worry yourself with that. The guy who's coming into office is not going to turn his back on us. I can guarantee you that. Okay. He's already made the promise. And if you remember last time, he kept every promise that he could make. Okay. So just be aware of that. There's a lot of clickbait out there, but there's a lot of guys that are former VSOs that have some great information out there. Now, some of them are trying to sell you their book, and some of them are trying to get you to sign up for classes online through their YouTube channel and stuff like that. I get that. That's their side hustle. Okay. And you can't blame them for their side hustle, because if they've been former VSOs, and I listen to, there's one channel that I listen to all the time. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. Do your research. Don't trust everybody's word about it. If you can do your research and you can read about it straight out of the VA manual or the 31 and all that kind of stuff, do your research. Don't say, well, somebody told. When you're an adult, that don't work no more. Well, what's his name told me? That only worked when you're, if you're a non-commissioned officer and you told somebody, well, you need to divorce that woman. And all of a sudden they turn around and go to EEO and say, well, Sergeant Elmer told me to go divorce her and stuff like that. Don't pay her nothing, blah, blah, blah. Who's in trouble? I am. In the adult world here, you can't blame nobody but yourself. Okay. Yeah. So do your research. That's all I can really tell you is do it and make sure you're right. All right. It's your future. So guys, hey, we want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas tomorrow. I will tell you that Terry and I will be live tomorrow on MT Homestead. We go live at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We want to know what you got for Christmas, and we're going to have a giveaway tomorrow, 8 o'clock.
Oh, big dogs.
Central Standard Time. We're going to be giving some stuff away. Hope you guys can join us. And you guys go live at White Rock Homestead at 6 o'clock.
We're 6 o'clock Central Time on Thursday. And as far as I know, we might have a couple special guests showing up. But we should be, I think right now, the intention is we're going live on Thursday.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll everybody should be going over, seeing Mike and Terry at MT Homestead on tomorrow, and then Thursday at 6 Central will be White Rock Homestead. That's the main channel for Terry and I. And yeah, should be a great week. Hope everybody has an amazing Christmas. Even if you're just doing it every day, that's fine. Be blessed and be grateful that you got to wake up that day, today, tomorrow, and the next day. So, hopefully we'll see y'all tomorrow, and then we'll see you again on Thursday.
Hey guys, remember, be kind to one another, help somebody in need, and always think of that, guys. Without vets, could be living in this great country that we're living in right now. Guys, we love you.
America.
Bless you, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
All right, guys. Bye.